back with an I-Team exclusive. Renewed scrutiny on escalating violence at the Essex County Correctional Facility after a former New York City rapper who was awaiting sentencing on federal drug charges got slashed in a vicious altercation with another inmate. It happened yesterday afternoon, and investigative reporter Sarah Wallace has inside information.
I should get paid for the work I put in. I'm so Brooklyn.
Former Brooklyn rapper Casanova, whose real name is Caswell Sr., isn't going back to his hometown streets anytime soon. The self-proclaimed Blood gang member who pleaded guilty to federal drug conspiracy charges last year was involved in a vicious fight yesterday at the Essex County Correctional Facility in Newark. These internal reports from correction officers say Sr. was slashed with a weapon by another inmate, Ulysses Lugo, and then chased him down with the help of others. We spoke with one officer who responded to the scene.
Inmate Lugo, you couldn't see his face because he was saturated in blood. You couldn't see it at the time because his whole face was saturated in blood and his whole uniform was saturated in blood. Inmate Senior was sitting there and blood was just coming out of his face.
A spokesman for the county told us this minor incident and whether weapons were employed is under investigation. Insiders tell us the unit was not searched last night or this morning, but in a recent interview with me, the director insisted they have implemented enhanced searches.
We're doing the searches 2 shifts a day. I'm doing everything that you can from a correctional administrator handbook done.
And then there's the issue of officer training. Retired Correction Lieutenant Jim Teresi reiterated what we've highlighted in recent stories.
Took a 4-month officer with no academy training and we put her alone with 64 federal prisoners who she has no idea who they are or what they're there for.
In January, state law will require correction officers to go through the police academy before they oversee inmates. But in the meantime, the numbers are disturbing. Since March, before yesterday, there were 17 codes, inmate-on-inmate assaults or inmate-on-officer assaults. Ironically, yesterday's violence came on the same day that a jury found 3 inmates guilty of the 2021 jail beating of Jayshawn Boyd. 2 were convicted of attempted murder. Boyd suffered permanent brain damage. His family has filed a civil lawsuit against the county.
Are you surprised that there's still cases of violence after this happened to your son?
Yes. Yes, I am. They're doing nothing about it. Something needs to be done.
No weapons were found after yesterday's attack, but one inmate was seen trying to flush something down the toilet. By the way, in the federal case, the former rapper is scheduled to be sentenced later this month. He could face a maximum of 60 years in prison. From Newark, Sarah Wallace, News 4 New York.
In November 2019, Casanova's star was on the rise. The rapper, whose real name is Caswell Sr., played a Tidal-sponsored festival at Barclays Center and energized the venue. As Rolling Stone noted, in a way only a hometown Brooklyn hero can. Senior also seemed ready to tackle his demons head on. In his new album at the time, Behind These Scars, Senior leaned into his vulnerability, departing from the unflinching style that had made him a rising star. Senior had also confronted the criminal justice system in his work and advocacy. In the Behind These Scars track, Jail Call, Senior described being suicidal behind bars. I've been in the belly of the beast thinking of suicide. I've been hearing my mother cry on the phone. Just why? Why again? And you can't explain it. Senior would tell Rolling Stone in 2019. She don't understand. I had to rob. That's me. That's my life story. That's a scar. He even spoke about prison reform at Harvard University. Senior's ascent would not last. On December 1st, 2020, the feds would come knocking, and they would reveal that Casanova was one of 18 alleged Untouchable Gorilla Stone Nation gang members indicted in a sprawling drug conspiracy case. The conspiracy ran from 2004 to 2020 in New York City and upstate, prosecutors alleged. In a court document, prosecutors also claimed that Senior closely coordinated his artistic endeavors to benefit the gang, sharing some of his money with Gorilla Stone founder Dwight Reed, who is now serving a 50-year-to-life prison sentence for a 2014 murder. On Wednesday, Senior pleaded guilty in White Plains Federal Court to 2 counts, racketeering conspiracy and narcotics conspiracy. Senior, sporting navy blue jail scrubs and a pumpkin orange undershirt, waved to his family and blew them a kiss when he walked into the courtroom at 11:25 a.m. The proceedings took a grim turn quickly when Judge Philip M. Helpburn started asking questions, characteristics of all guilty plea proceedings. Among them was Senior under the care of a doctor or a psychologist. They put me on suicide watch, Judge, a couple of days ago, Senior said matter-of-factly. He described it as a holding cell where you wear a smock and stuff. Senior said that he was not on any medication. Are you comfortable today? Hepburn asked. Very comfortable, Your Honor, Senior replied. Had he ever been hospitalized for mental health or substance abuse issues? In my teenage days, I attempted to kill myself a couple of times, Senior would say, explaining that he had previously been sent to Bellevue Hospital in Manhattan. The government in court filings wants Casanova in prison for at least 15 years. And in asking the judge to do just that, they outline their case in court filings. The government would tell the judge since at least 2004, the Untouchable Gorilla Stone Nation has been a violent street gang with a national presence that was founded by Senior's co-defendant and close associate, Dwight Reed, aka Dick Wolf. Gorilla Stone has many members across New York State, including throughout New York City, Westchester, and the New York State prison system, and all over the country, such as in Florida, where Senior engaged in substantial criminal conduct. Gorilla Stone is compromised of various sets, according to the government, or caves as they called them, by gang members. Each cave has its own leadership hierarchy and reports up to the respective leaders of their particular cave. Gorilla Stone, like many other blood street gangs, has multiple hierarchical rank structures, a prison lineup for Gorilla Stone members in the prison system, and the street lineup, members of Gorilla Stone that are not incarcerated. These lineups are designed to maintain discipline, according to the government, within Gorilla Stone caves. Gorilla Stone is a highly organized and efficient street gang with an organizational commitment to violence that strictly enforces its internal laws, the government would tell the judge. Among other things, the Federal Bureau of Investigation revealed that Gorilla Stone members violently enforce internal laws and have access to abundant firearms. Senior's Gorilla Stone co-defendants were charged with a host of crimes committed in furtherance of their joint enterprise. Some of the charges against Gorilla Stone members include racketeering conspiracy, various frauds, a large-scale narcotics conspiracy that Senior actively participated in, myriad firearm offenses, and numerous acts of violence, including a daytime murder of a juvenile in the middle of Poughkeepsie Street, multiple attempted murders and shootings, including 2 in Florida, in which Senior was involved, a gunpoint drug-related robbery, and a brutal slashing. As for the gang's sources of revenue, the government would add, in addition to some more traditional sources, such as the proceeds of narcotics trafficking furthered by Senior's conduct, Gorilla Stone is deeply involved in several fraudulent schemes that are well organized and sophisticated, and net a significant amount of money for the gang. For example, there's a lengthy written Gorilla Stone constitution that government tells the judge that discusses the gang's Department of Finance, which is responsible for generating different sources of revenue for the gang and distributing funds. It is also this department's job to collect dues from members for the gang's communal fund, known as the Kitty. The defendant, Casanova, according to the government, was a senior, respected, high-profile member of the gang. As part of his plea agreement, Senior stipulated that he was an organizer or leader of a criminal activity that involved 5 or more participants. Senior joined the gang while incarcerated between 2007 and 2013 and has remained an active member ever since, according to the U.S. Attorney's Office, including upon his release from custody in 2013. In a public interview, Senior, aka Casanova, estimated stabbing about 12 inmates, 12 other prisoners, while previously incarcerated. Casanova 2X, stabbing 12 inmates, beating cellmates, doing 7.5 years. Senior was previously on the gang's lineup underneath co-defendant Christopher Erskine, aka Beagle, but switched to a high-ranking position on the lineup of the gang's Money Gang Cave, led by co-defendants Walter Luster, aka Shells, and Deshaun Thomas, aka Don. Gorilla Stone members saw Senior in his rap career and public figure status in the community as a way for the gang to increase membership, recruit new members, and earn money, according to federal prosecutors. And it increases its status among rival blood sets and other gangs. As one example, co-defendant Jamel Trent, aka Trap Smoke, admittedly viewed his conduct dealing drugs for Gorilla Stone as a means to develop a relationship with Senior, a successful rapper. Using his public platform, Senior amplified the message of the gang, both through his music and social media profiles, they would tell the judge. As one example, he has used his Instagram page to pay homage to the gang, posting photos demonstrating his allegiance to Gorilla Stone. As part of this investigation, law enforcement installed a listening device at the Auburn Correctional Facility in upstate New York to record visits with Gorilla Stone's leader and founder, Reed. On one visit between Luster and Reed, Luster told Reed how Senior, Casanova, had accidentally fired a gun at a poker game in New York City. Luster, who himself knew Senior and spent time with him, added that Senior always had a gun on him. Senior also had several images of firearms stored in his private iCloud. Casanova had a close relationship with Reed. There was an Instagram post where he visited Reed and wrote, "Free Dick Wolf" at Auburn Correctional Facility. In fact, just a little over a week before his arrest, Senior again visited Reed at the Auburn Correctional Facility, and he was intercepted on many prison calls with Reed as well, according to the government. Senior went out of his way to support Reed and the gang, and not just by kicking back money for commercial ventures directed by Reed. For example, Senior reached out to Reed's wife on his own to arrange for payments to Reed. As this recovered text message from his iCloud demonstrates, likewise, Senior confirmed in text messages with other gang members that he would gladly appear in gang-related music video shoots to benefit the gang. The defendant did not simply seek to stay in Reed's and gang members' good graces. He saw himself as a steward and a leader of the violent organization Reed started, according to prosecutors. In recovered text messages from his iCloud, he bragged to others about his membership in Gorilla Stone under Reed. Here, Casanova is telling the gang's members that if they choose not to show up to his mandatory gang meeting, it will be taken as a direct act of disrespect, and you will be wiped down immediately. According to the government's investigation, wipe down is a term used by Gorilla Stone members to refer to formally kicking someone out of the gang, a process that often includes violence against the gang member being kicked out. Is this what happened to Casanova after denouncing his affiliation with the Apes? In a letter to the judge, he would write, "For the first time in my life, I felt that I could do something good for society. I knew the path of gang life was a dead end. I mean, dead end. You die on the outside, or you die in jail. I found a way to tell young people that time and time again. For the first time in my life, I was a real father, a real husband, and a person that could maybe, just maybe, help people avoid my disaster of a life. It felt good being home doing the right thing for the first time in my life. The government will tell you that all my music was about gangs and violence. It wasn't, Judge. Some was because it sold. I used that image to sell music legally. Other raps were not. One song made it clear that life in jail was the most depressing one a person can find themselves in. I did use the gangsta image as an artist, but that was not the man I was striving to become. I'm sorry for my past. I'm sorry for the robbery, but I'm telling you, I acted out of impulse in taking that lady's phone and deleting the videos, but that is all I wanted to do. I did not tell anyone to do anything. I had the phone. I was deleting the video and was giving it back. I never intended any harm to come to anyone. I was a diner. The other two incidents haunt me. I did not intend for any of it to happen. I did not go to the club that night to do anything but celebrate my birthday. The party was a party, and I went there to have fun. It was not some gang thing, but it became one. I'm not asking you to ignore the bad. There is plenty of it. I'm asking you to see the other side that was finally starting to shine. I am not who the government wants you to believe I am, and I am not a man you or anyone needs to worry about in the future. I am coming out hoping to further my music career without needing or wanting any image. I can make it without it, and I will continue speaking out against the gang life. I stand in front of you today, a 36-year-old man who has made mistakes that I must put behind me and continue on the path I was on. I have made contacts to continue speaking out against gangs while doing my sentence. This is not something new. I started this years ago. I am telling you and anyone that will listen, I am no longer a member of Gorilla Stone or any other gang.
And there you got it. You know, sometimes jail, and I can tell you from experience, will have you sitting in jail thinking, damn, man, why did I do this? Why did I do that? You start to have regrets. You start to think like, damn, man, I damn sure shouldn't have got involved in this. And I'm sure that's what Casanova's doing right now. He's probably laid up on a bed right now, sore, cut in the face. You heard what the cop said in the interview, you know, with the news, blood everywhere. He's laid up like, damn, man, look at my life. And, you know, obviously, you know, this cat has some mental health issues, right? I mean, he admits that he's got some mental health issues. Talking about he wanted to, you know, take himself out and all of that, because jail does that to you, man. Jail has a way of playing games with your mind. You know, you get depressed in there, you get lonely, you start thinking about, damn, man, I had the money, I had the fame, you know, I was all the way up, I was eating on, you know, on the weed tip, and I blew it all. And not only did I blow it, now look at me, man, I'm cut, man, Essex County Jail. Look what they did to that other cat. Ironically, right? Same day that he gets cut is the same day that them cats get convicted for, you know, just doing probably one of the most vicious things you'll probably see in jail. They're jumping on that kid's head, man, hitting him with the microwave, hitting him with the mop bucket, and never thinking like, damn, man, I can end up with a life sentence for this right here. I could get more time. They never think about that stuff, man. But I can tell you right now that Casanova's laid up like, damn, man, look what my life has become. You think he was depressed before? I can tell you now he's really depressed. I was in New York, man. I've seen some vicious cuttings, man. I've seen some people do some vicious things over there, man. And this cat right here, the government, this is what the government does, man. They outline this stuff, man. They want, you can look at it like, damn, 15 ain't so bad, right? When you read all the stuff that happened in the case, you're like, 15 ain't so bad. But that man don't want to do 5 days, let alone 15 years. What's going to happen to him? This isn't my words. This is the words of the government. This is what they put in their sentencing memorandum. This is what they're telling the judge, like, yo, Casanova's a bad dude, like, light his ass up. That's what the government's saying. They want a 15 piece. They want 188 months, 15 years, 8 months, I think they want. And of course, his lawyers have disputed that stuff, but it's hard to dispute the stuff, man, when you're on social media writing this shit. You know what I mean? It's hard to say, yo, man, it was just the image, man, when I was rapping. But really, man, they got you on wiretaps at Auburn. They got you on the phone. You kind of like put the nails in your own coffin, so to speak. So you got to be mindful, man. If you're caught up in the street, man, you got to be mindful of what you're doing because these people are going to use everything against you. And, you go down here and you plead guilty. You think you're all right. You get a plea agreement in the feds. You think you're getting 10 years. You will get sentenced. The judge says, you know what? I think you're a threat to the public safety. I think you're a threat to the community. I'm going to go above the guidelines and give you 30 years. I don't think you should be on the street. And then you think, I'm going to appeal that. Don't work. What do I think is going to happen? I think they're going to use this, cutting in the face and saying, him dropping out of the gang, that's why that happened. There should be a reduction. He can't go back to New York. He can't go anywhere in the tri-state area, when he gets out. And maybe the judge, he's got an all right judge. He's got an all right judge. Maybe he ends up in the 10, 12-year range. Maybe the judge does depart a little bit from the advisory guideline range. But that's going to be the focus, the cut. So anyway, man, if you're caught up in the streets, man, be careful what you say. Be careful what you do because these people are going to use it against you, man. My prediction is he gets 12 years. Anyway, Blood on the Razor Wire TV. Until tomorrow, we're out.